Hello, and welcome to this on demand webinar, which explores the spread of misinformation and fake news online. Most of all, how AI is being trained to fight fake news. I'm David Clarke, Chief Security Officer of Guildhawk, and this webinar is being hosted as part of International Fraud Awareness Week 2024, which Guildhawk is pleased to support. Now, we live in a world where fake news can spread faster than the truth. And to help us navigate this complex landscape, I am delighted to introduce two of my colleagues here at Guildhawk. The first is Dr. Francimaria Nascimento, and the second is my colleague Shashwat Upadhyay. They are both renowned AI experts who've been on the front line using machine learning to fight fake news and misinformation, even around elections, which of course is very topical. Francimaria and Shash will be sharing their insights on the latest trends and challenges in the AI driven disinformation and fraud world. And best of all, how can we leverage technology to safeguard our digital landscape? I hope you find this information helpful as you begin your journey in AI. So, first question I've got for you guys, welcome very much indeed, is we know that misinformation and fake news is a big problem online, such as romance scams, investment schemes that trick people. But what are the real facts? You've done amazing research in your careers before you joined Guildhawk, and indeed what you're doing with us now. But I'd love to know, perhaps, if you could attempt to draw on your previous research and help me understand this problem. Shash, could I start with you first, please? What are some of the most common tactics used by bad actors to manipulate people and public opinion online using technology?
So the research paper that I co-authored was focused on tackling fake news detection. One of the main aspects was regarding disinformation and misinformation. So disinformation is something which bad actors create on purpose to spread fake news, and misinformation is spread by those people who don't know whether the news is fake or real. So
Right.
initially, it starts with people spreading information as disinformation, and then it gets spread on even further using misinformation tactics. So one of the main aspects is regarding botting. There's a botting problem online on social media where users inflate their account of likes, of comments, of post shares, and other people, when they see that post, they think it's very genuine because it has like 60,000, 70,000 likes. And in
Yeah.
that way, I think it's one of the key aspects in which misinformation is spread.
And some of those be created in these like factories where people actually
Yep.
getting all these clicks that they're buying, thousands of them. So people
Yep.
start believing that that's true. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So that is one of. And Franta Maria, what's your thoughts on that? And do you have any particular examples where AI starts getting biased?
Yeah, thank you for asking for this interview, David. And yeah, uh, a lot of case can be so regarding the bias because sometimes the people start like publishing something more in one side, the other side. So sometimes when the data set has not like representative data about different sides, for example, political sides. So in this case, the AI model can start to be biased against that. So it can start to learn about that and know, like, for example, if I have more examples of fake news from one political side, for example, so the model can learn, for example, that these sides is like represent fake news. So this is a
Right.
big problem.
Right. And this is going on sort of a site which the AI is thinking might be trusted, but actually it's got bias and fake information in there.
Yeah, they it's the two things. It's because of that it's so important to know the data set and have a good data set because sometimes the data set cannot be representativity has not enough representativity about something. So this can make the model learn new things that is not true.
Right. And this, I know from the work you're doing with us here at Guildhawk, is very much around clean data, isn't it? Verified data that's been well structured and doesn't have that bias in it there. So this is a big thing. The AI is finding things. And I'm guessing, Shash, what you were just saying there, I mean, the people can, a bad actor can deliberately put fake information in there then, can't they? And to make bias.
Yep. As you mentioned, these are like sort of botting factories. They work in bulk, they work in a bunch, and they create this information so that they sort of get benefit on the side. And in one way, it gets even more difficult with Gen AI because the content seems very authentic when the fake news content is created using these Gen AI models. It seems very authentic, and it's like a cat and mouse race, like who can detect whose content.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's some of the generative AI. If you use any of the GPTs, I know we've got our own private one, but I sometimes use the Chat GPT. It can write better than some people, can't it? You know,
exactly.
Francimaria, when you were doing your research with political, use of misinformation, were you seeing that? Were there things out there that looked very convincing?
Yes, it's because this kind of model, the large language model, they learn about a big amount of data. So they start to learn a lot how people write. So it make more sense. It understands sometimes how people would like to know the things. So because of that, sometimes the kind of documents, the kind of text generated by these models can be at least look better than
Oh, so
the,
so
the
the machine's learning which things that people like to believe as fake news potentially then. Wow, that is pretty scary. I want to just get another question on this problem before we move on to the solution. And I love the ideas that you've got there and some of the opportunities here to turn the AI into fighting for protecting us. But you'll remember, no doubt, deep fakes. A lot of talk about deep fakes. We've seen how that can amplify misinformation, undermine trust in information, and I'm certainly drawn to the crimes that we've seen in Hong Kong, multi-million-dollar scams where people were abusing avatar technology in Zoom calls like this Teams call to pretend to be people, cloning voices, and then getting away with millions and millions of dollars in fraud. Um, what what is the role of those deep fakes? I mean, we know that they have enormous good to avatars, but when in criminal hands, what role do they have? What did you see, Shash, first of all, in your one, and then onto yours, Francimaria, in the political side?
I think recently, because a lot of generative AI models have been used to create these fake images, and even in video and voice as well. I think recent example has been online personalities who have been impersonated, sort of, into promoting cryptocurrency scams. And
Yeah,
when you see such a post, you see that this person spoke as well as is visible on the screen. So it's very
yeah,
difficult to discern if this video is real or fake. And a lot of
yeah,
people just end up believing it because if you see your favorite media personality advocating for some random advertisement or cryptocurrency scam, you tend to believe because it's coming directly
yeah,
from them, from the online account.
yeah,
So
yeah.
in
We,
this way, I
we
think it's propagated a lot.
Yeah, influencers, isn't it? People we like and
Exactly.
stuff. We're drawn to them. Francimaria, what's in? I mean, this is no joke when it's in political games and the sort of elections and stuff. Deep fakes there. What's your thoughts on that? In that political side.
Yeah, it's a huge problem in the political side, and it can like make people decide to change the side and believing things that is not true. And this is a big problem because it can be used for manipulate people's votes. So
Yeah.
the deep fakes in political side need to be detected.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot now. You are amazingly talented people. I congratulate you on the work you've done. You're very intelligent young people using machine learning and AI. But how is AI going to fight back? How can it help to protect us vulnerable humans who pick up on things and can't, can be easily fooled by this very clever stuff? Francimaria, you tell us how and why are human factors so important to mitigating machine bias?
Yeah, I believe it's crucial to design the responsible AI models because this can help us to detect a lot of fake news, because sometimes detect the number of fake news is spread every moment is not so feasible, because with the social media people publish a lot of things and most of the people unfortunately don't think before share something. So the AI has a big responsible in this case and can help us to detect this more fast
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so
try to
even
solve
you're even
problem.
saying people thinking about what they post, even not just the bad actors, people thinking carefully. We need that human to check, to verify. AI is what you're saying, is it? Shash, any thoughts
Yeah.
yourself? Shash, on your side, the human factors. Why is it so important to mitigate machine bias, to have the human factors in there?
I think one of the main reasons is that the more humans that are involved in a process, the better the data will become. And because
Yeah.
these models are trained on that data, if that data is clean, if that data is unbiased, the output will obviously be better. So I think in that aspect, we can keep involved, we can keep humans involved in the process and make sure that like they know what is going on instead of just depending on the model outputs immediately.
And what's the Francimaria? What's the importance of ethical AI development, being ethical and unbiased, particularly in those data sets that we're using? Because I've heard this term hallucinations, when the machine learning it gets data and it starts filling things in and hallucinating and giving false information. What's the importance of ethical AI development?
Yeah, the ethical AI is crucial when you developing a model like that, because sometimes when we develop a model, the model learns from the data, but this data needs to be truthful. So we need to check the data. We need to be sure this data is good enough, because sometimes the AI model, it learns from the patterns. So if in my data I have, like, for example, always that I saw something from like a political side, this is fake news. So my machine learning model can learn, for example, this side, all the things published about this side could be fake news. So this is a kind of political bias. So this kind of thing can happen. So because of that, it's so important to be aware of ethical consideration, not only political consideration, but gender consideration, religion things, and about the different language. So it's very important to consider this kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Question for you, Shash, going back to your point about data sets, and Francimaria said they've got to be accurate, otherwise we're going to train the models and they'll start hallucinating, giving false information, even really horrible bias. But is part of the problem here that big tech, OpenAI and others, they're scraping the internet for these large language models, and they're going out looking for public data sets that already have bias, like fake news and errors in them? Is that part of the problem?
I believe that one of the major issues is if you have heard about Common Crawl, it's one of the largest data sets available. In that, 85% of the data is made of either English or European languages. Less than 10% of the data is made of Japanese and Chinese languages, and around 5 to 6% of the data is made of all the other languages combined. So
Wow.
when the data set, yeah, when the data set itself is biased initially, even before training, then what can you even do? So these big tech companies, they have enough resources, obviously, but they want to get something as quickly as possible, get something done as quickly. So they train on this data set without verification and hope that after they get the output, they can ask that same model to verify the output. So that's very counterproductive. In that sense, I would say what we are doing at Guildhawk is a bit better, because what we are doing is we are involving linguists directly in the process of expert in the loop. So when we are doing, let's say, data labeling, there's a lesser chance of having a misclassification because linguists are involved at every step. And that's what I believe one of the key aspects of this project is.
I really find that so reassuring, what you're saying there. The thought that, we can, there's such little amount of clean data out there, and with those languages problems, that there aren't the language data sets, but being ethical in that way, that is very reassuring. And I do thank you for what you're doing. I know you're doing some groundbreaking pioneering work with giving a big shout out to Sheffield Hallam University and the Innovate UK program who are backing this as well. Francimaria, did you have any more thoughts about that? This, how the data. This sounds like there's loads of rubbish data out there, isn't there? Is there a shortage of good data?
Yeah, it's hard to find good data. And an impressive thing that we have been doing in Guildhawk is like anonymize this data. So it's helped to reduce the bias in the data because it prevents the model to learn like personal information or about the person or about the company. So it's a very important work we have been doing to avoid this kind of bias in your models.
Yeah, and I know we can't go into great detail, but you're at the cutting edge with work on anonymization. It's difficult for me to say it there, and I can completely understand, as a former cop and investigator, how trustworthy that evidence is that's going into these machine learning models, and that is very exciting. I look forward to when we're able to report more on that development. But that is amazing. And just to finish off, my last question to you. I don't want to depress viewers or anything. I've been asking for ages, when's AI going to step in? How can we bring more trust, increased trust in AI generated content? Probably one or 2 points from each of you, if you would, on that thought. How can we ensure that AI systems are safe, transparent, accountable? That if they're going to help and protect us, they've got to be all those things, haven't they? Shash, first, what's your thoughts? How can we build increased trust?
I think the key factors that every company should consider, or every organization should consider, is that there should be confidentiality of all the data that they process, as well as security, because these are the two key main aspects that companies look at the like a second preference sort of. So that should be a priority for them, for every company.
Because there's that desire to, I've got to get information, but people might
Exactly.
forget about confidentiality.
Yeah. So these two factors, I believe, should be the main focus of every company going forward. And there could be a possible solution in terms of watermarking all the images, all the text that we create. So let's say there's an AI generated content that can be sort of watermarked that the user cannot remove. But when posted, let's say on social media, it can sort of display at the bottom, say that, hey, this content was AI generated. And people, by scrolling, they'll know that, okay, this was AI generated, this was human generated, and so on. So that's
I
one of the
like that
solutions.
idea of, I do like the idea of the watermark and stuff. I've seen
Yeah.
with some of the DALI 3 type OpenAI images, they have a
Yeah.
little copyright thing, don't know when and where it was. But you're saying go further, have this,
Yeah.
documented further. I know that our team's looking at digital human avatars, the multilingual ones, looking at some of the watermarking, and a very exciting new development that we'll be announcing next year about how we protect those and identify them. It sounds really exciting. Perhaps one for a follow up call with both of you. But Francimaria, what's your thoughts? Give us some hope. How are these AI robots going to protect us humans? What can we do to build trust?
Yeah, I believe a crucial thing is like evaluate this model more than accuracy, but also ethical consideration. So we need to check with few samples. We need to have some human in the loop to check if this model is actually working well. So we need to be aware of that, but we also need to consider our data. So we need to be sure our data are trustful, and if we have a good data to train this model, so we need to check that.
Right. So data is coming out loud and clear here. I suppose giving a shout out to those human experts out there. You are two of them, but these expert in the loops. We're talking, aren't we, about people with tremendous skills. They've got industry skills, they've got qualifications, and they're trusted. We're not just going out to anybody here to verify and annotate and label data. They're really high quality people that we're talking about, aren't they? They've got to be trusted as well, if you like, haven't they? It's yeah. Thank you. I think when I look at all those times, why is AI not being used? What's your view in the future? This is big changes coming. Are you optimistic? You're both smiling. I mean, that seems to. Are you optimistic about where we're going to go with AI? Shash,
Yeah.
what about you, Shash, first?
Yeah, I believe that a lot of incremental work is being done behind the doors at every company, every organization. It remains to be seen how long it takes until we reach a satisfactory solution that we all want. The only issue that it could be that we are running out of clean data. So it's very critical that we make sure that we only use like proper data sets going forward. And these AI solutions can actually help us instead of being afraid that there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of fake news. The same technology, the same generative AI models are also helping us tackle these fake news, this misinformation. So again, we are also helping in that sense that we are labeling properly, we are anonymizing properly, we are making sure that the systems that we develop are secure and that systems deliver as much as possible, even 5 years, 10 years onwards. Maybe one day we'll achieve AGI, who knows?
Thank you. The real actual general intelligence. Yeah. Wow. You're both smiling. Francimaria, what do you think? You optimistic? You're smiling.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, and I believe AI can help us with a lot of things and make our life more easy in a lot of things. So I'm agree with Sash. So we need to create ethical AI. We need to be sure about what we are doing, but it can help us a lot.
Great. And I would stress for listeners that as Chief Security Officer, the data lakes, multilingual data lakes that Guildhawk use for training things like the Guide Translate system, and the great work you're doing, both of you, on the latest cutting edge stuff, is all clean, secure data that's been verified. There's nothing goes in there that isn't approved and verified. So, and it sounds like that's the most important. I'm going to wash it up there and round it off. I'd just like to say thank you to Francimaria and Shash. The key takeaways for me are that it's clear that technology, while often exploited by criminals and bad actors, is also starting to be a powerful weapon in fighting online threats. So in short, I suppose it's all about how people choose to use the AI, either for good or they decide to use it for evil, that really matters. And we all have a part to play in protecting people, every company, every organization, not just big tech. And I'd just like to say to both of you a personal thank you for what you're both doing. You're young, creative coders, and you're doing amazing things to make AI a tool for good, which is so important in this challenging world. Let's not be frightened about AI, but always stay very vigilant, I think is your message. Be prepared for the future, because there's some more amazing things coming, quantum and so on. This is just the beginning. But you've heard it from our two AI colleagues, who I hope have inspired me. Hopefully they've inspired you about they are the future of technology, and they are leading this fight with AI. So thank you for listening, everybody. And thank you for Shash and Francimaria, and wish you every success. Thanks again.